And we're live.
Live. Hey everyone.
Hi guys.
I've just realised with this white t-shirt I look like a floating head.
It's not too bad. Have you got the lights
All
on?
right. Yeah, I've got the lights. We've got lights, camera, action happening.
I'm a lot brighter than you, I feel, today.
I feel you've dressed for the occasion. How is everyone? Let us know in the chat if you can see and hear us as always. But thank you so much for being here.
They can. We're getting a floating head.
Hey Deborah. Hey Penny. Is SC, Denise, Liz,
Denise.
Teresa.
Oh, thanks, Teresa. I did try.
Hey Jackie, what's up? Heidi, Jay. Look at everyone showing up. Appreciate everyone being here. I'm excited for this. It went really well last time.
I can't believe how popular it was last time.
It was a lot of great comments.
We could have gone on all night, I feel.
I was trying to have a sneak peek at some of the websites before we got started, but I haven't really had time. So I'm going in blind today. This is going to be like blind website critiques for an hour and a half straight. And how many are there? In fact, SJ, if you want to chat,
I should probably write down how many we've got today, actually.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, there's about 25.
Wow, okay.
That's quite a lot. So
you're on the speed.
Yeah, the speed bar.
Yeah.
Hey, Jessica, Heather, Jared, pressure's on Tom, Jessica says.
That's it, Jess, make him feel nervous.
Can people comment? Do they know what today is? Hopefully everyone here knows what it is.
And also let us know if you were here on the last one. I'd be keen to know who's back for some more.
Mm-hmm. First time. Okay. For anyone who doesn't know, basically I'm going to be live critiquing as many websites as I can in 60 to 90 minutes. 25 is quite a lot.
I feel like I need to get a countdown clock or something so that we can just add a little bit more pressure.
But yeah, I love this stuff. So let's get ready to geek out, guys, over some web design. I'm going to give as many tips as I can. Everyone should have notepads at the ready. And I hope I'm able to cover your website. If I'm not, or if you didn't submit one, I hope you can still pick up a load of tips for how to improve your own.
Tom said it was like speed dating for websites. It really was. We were doing the pros and cons of everyone.
I have to pick my favorite at the end and never call them again or something. Okay, sand clock.
Yes. I love those with board games.
Cool. Paul's taking notes for us, Penny says. All right. I'm going to share my screen and jump in because I want to go for it. Everyone.
We're a little bit delayed ourselves today as well. So
yeah, let's do it, guys.
Let's go for it. Are you ready? Get those pens.
Let me know if that's working.
Yeah. Wait, the audio check thing for a sec. Perfect.
Cool. So you're seeing Pomp and Sass? That's the first one.
Let us know if this is you in the chat so that we can obviously shout you out and talk to you whilst you're here. If you're watching it on the replay, then make sure you leave us a comment over on our Facebook group so that we know that you saw your website getting done. Cool.
And also blow up the chat, guys, because we always get stats at the end that tell us like how many people were there and how much they were talking. So let's make it a busy one.
Because Tom can't see it, so I have to read it all for him.
Oh yeah, I can't see anything apart from the website I'm looking at. So SJ's going to tell me if you guys are being super nice.
Yeah.
Or I think I'm being.
I won't tell him. We'll keep it a secret.
As I said last time, I'm going to obviously try and be as constructive as possible, but I equally don't want to sit here and just be like, really great job, I love everything about this, because that won't be helpful. So I'm mainly going to be dealing with like ways to improve it.
Hashtag keep it real, SE said.
Cool. All right, ready to jump in, SJ?
Let's go for it, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, and final thing, again, you might hear a lot of the same patterns in my feedback. It's because there are some very common mistakes people make. So you might hear me saying some of the same stuff over and over again. Do take that on board because it's mistakes that virtually everyone's making.
Okay.
All right, we're going to jump in. I'm going to take a big sip of water.
We've got Jared in the chat saying he's never actually heard of Crowdcast, but this video chat format is great. So thank you for joining us, and I'm glad you like it.
Sweet. Glad to hear it. Okay, let's jump right in then. So Pomp and Sass, we're starting with some Turkish towers. I love it. That's a bit of a different direction from last time.
Oh, I like it.
It is cool. So what are the positives? I like, oh, that's cool. Little hover effect.
Yeah, I like that.
I love the typography. I love the font choice here, both in the headline kind of slogan area and in the logo. It's very elegant. It's got a nice feel to it. And then to be honest, as we go down the site, I feel that gets a little bit lost. So all of this kind of elegance of the header, I feel, descends into something that's more of a clean, generic template. And it's very, very text heavy. So given the subject matter of this website, I would love to be seeing some gorgeous, very big, high-res imagery of Turkish towels and of living spaces and that kind of thing. And so after this lovely logo, I just get presented with a ton of white space here, a ton of text, which I'm probably not going to read. And I get a little bit confused because I go from like, oh, this grabs my interest, to getting a few paragraphs about Turkish towels. And I feel like I'm on a Wikipedia page or something. So I kind of don't really know why I'm here, what I'm meant to do next. Am I shopping for Turkish towels? Am I learning about them? Is this the ultimate learning hub for Turkish towels? I've got no idea. And I certainly am probably not going to be reading through all of this, especially on the homepage. This is more like an article or something. So you could put out this as a piece of content, but your homepage should be visually sucking people in. It should be guiding them. Remember, I said on the last call, take them by the hand, actually show them what to do next, because website visitors are lazy. I said that a bunch on the last call. They're very, very lazy. They can't just be reading and trying to figure out what your website does. You need to tell them, and you need to take them by the hand and say, do this next. Here's the purpose of this page.
I should love to see more images too. They definitely draw people in.
Yeah, so imagine like maybe this logo a little bit higher up. Another common mistake, people seem to love having a ton of wasted space in the header. So if we go down just a little bit, you can see there, that really kind of focuses the eye on the logo more and brings the whole rest of the content up. So if you replace this text heavy content with some amazing imagery, some strong call to actions, then your page starts to come to life a little bit more. But as I say, I would echo the elegance of this logo area, and I will kind of pull that through to the rest of the design. As soon as you get to the menu and below, you fall into kind of template land, in my opinion.
We've got questions in the chat. I'm saying the moon icon on the right hand side. What does that do?
I don't know. I'm kind of scared to click it. Ooh, that's cool. Apart from the fact your logo becomes invisible, so I would maybe change that.
Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, that's a nice touch. Like, I feel as designers we can get carried away with this stuff. I feel like, especially with some nice photos, that could actually be even stronger. But generally, I would focus on fixing the fundamentals, and I would not be tweaking stuff like this too much, because that's like fancy effects. That's a nice kind of add-on, but focus on those foundations. So I hope that helps. I could keep going forever on this site, to be honest, because there's a lot of bits, but I'm going to try and get through everyone.
Yeah.
So similar thing here to my last point on Pomp and Sass, ton of space. And it feels a little bit needless. So all you're doing is pushing all of your websites and your portfolio work right below the fold here. Mm-hmm. So if we go down, imagine if your logo was kind of somewhere over here. Suddenly I get hit with this really amazing looking work straight away. I'm also really not a fan of the burger menu. Especially, again, that's kind of like needless effects for me. It's not actually nice UI, because it's giving those lazy website visitors an extra step, an extra hoop to have to jump through. And most of them aren't going to bother. For me, the only place for a burger menu is on like a mobile responsive design where you're forced to use that kind of thing. But on an actual desktop website like this feels very strange to me. So again,
for me on the homepage, it almost feels like there's an image missing at the top there.
Yeah, doesn't it, right? It's just,
like, is there something that hasn't loaded maybe, or?
And I know we're designers and we love drowning in negative space, and that's normally a good thing. When it comes to websites, yes, you need negative space. You don't want it to feel super cramped, but equally, let's pull up that vital content, because that's really important. So then we get down to the content. And if you were on the last call, you know how hot I am on copywriting. So I'm not a huge fan of making it me. And so this whole lead in here, this is your most prime real estate, where you're going to articulate the value of what you do. You're going to try and resonate with your ideal clients. You're going to try and entice and interest them to want to hire you. And simply saying like, I do this, I design visual stories and I make them move. That's great, but that feels almost more like an about page. So I would find a way of flipping that headline and being like, how are you going to make that about your clients instead of about you? How are your visual stories and your skills going to help your ideal client? And that's what you need to be articulating in that key client area. And again, it's like my recent clients include these people. It's very wordy. I think you could do this equally well with some visuals. So maybe some of these recent clients have recognizable logos, and you could either be showing them off here in terms of like, well, here's the actual work that I did for these people, which is what you are doing. Or if they're really big clients, you could just have some like grayscale logos or something with a little header saying, here are my recent clients. And I think as well, this is kind of needlessly fancy. I feel like this call to action here, it's great saying, let's work together. Here's how you can reach me. I would make that a button. I think having the email address, especially you've even got rid of the @ symbol and put a pencil in there, that's nice in terms of like, look at what I can do from a coding perspective and from a visual perspective as a designer. But I think that would actually be mildly confusing for a client. So I would make it super clear to be like, if you like my work, let's work together. Like, click here to get in touch, and no one could be mistaken by that. We talked on the last call about that hover. Again, not a huge fan of it because it gives an extra step. People need to, I kind of don't really get a lot from some of the grid right now. I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. And then I need to roll over to get the context. And then I need to click it to read more. So on the last call, we talked about maybe have that image, and then next to it, you can have the actual headline of who the client was. You could have some, the dishwasher's going off, guys.
I was going to say, I've just...
I think that's a sign that's like, your time is up, right? So yeah, have the client's name here, have a little paragraph or a sentence or two underneath, giving context about that project, maybe a testimonial if you had one. And that way, at a glance, people can just come down here and go, oh, cool. You got some nice looking client work. I understand who it was for. I can see the client was thrilled about it. But this whole thing of like, I have to hover here, I have to click through and dig around, it's not really going to work for the average lazy website visitor. And then final thing, like this is very hidden away. That doesn't look clickable. No, it's not clickable. So give people that obvious call to action here, because this is slightly what I call a dead end. And what do you really want people to do? Go to your Instagram or contact you? I would argue contact you. And the fact this doesn't work, no one is going to copy this ambiguous looking email address with a pencil, go to their internet browser, type it in on Gmail and drop you an email. It's not going to happen. So you're not really going to have to be able to expect people to scroll right back up to the top. So give them that option. They've gone through, they like your work, big old button there. Like, what do they do next? They get in touch. Awesome. Cool. So on to the next one. I'm going to have to speed up again. I just want to stay on these websites.
I admit that seeing all your tabs is giving me a little bit of anxiety at the moment.
I really like this website. I think it's great. I think it has a really strong brand, really nice look. It's really well designed. I love the balance here with the centered menu and the logo on the left and social media icons. Super clean. It's really nice typography. The background has some nice detailing with that font. I like that. But then it's got like really nice kind of font use here as well. And just, this is an example of like good negative space, because this is negative space with the purpose to pull the eye to the headline happening here. So again, maybe it could be a little bit more client orientated. I know that's going to be hard to fit into that limited space, but maybe there could be something that's a bit more exciting for potential clients. Right now, what's exciting for me is how visually stunning this is. So hand lettering and design comes to life because you're using a really attractive hand lettered looking font. But maybe if you added that extra bit of pizzazz with actually articulating how you're going to help your clients, then it will come to life even more on top of that great design. I think as well, this is a tip for everyone. I'm always a fan of putting your menu links in order of hierarchy and priority. So first of all, if it's like a non-essential link, move it to the footer. But if it's an essential link, always put the most important one first and the least important one last, because people read left to right. And this is very common where people just kind of put them in any old order. And it's super, super effective to have people be able to hierarchically work their way down that line of menu items, if that makes sense.
Some of the comments that we're getting in here, Tom. Design Thought says, I keep wanting to scroll and click and then forgetting that it's on someone else's screen. And Heidi said, yay, someone else with 100 tabs. Hashtag tabs rule the world.
Yeah, to be clear, this is my normal working setup with 100 tabs. Not just the websites today.
We can see 100 documents open on the bottom right-hand side.
Oh, yeah, down there. Okay, so then we go down. Again, really nice use of negative space. This is not too much. This feels very balanced. This person really knows, Dominique really knows how to work with type because this is just really nice font pairing going on.
Yeah.
It's not too much. I talked before about when you're trying to cram like 11 different fonts into your design and it ends up feeling really muddy and inconsistent visually. But you can see the font they're using here is the same font they're using here, and that naturally draws the eye down in a nice visual consistency. So I'm hoping the comments are blowing up over this design because I do think it's very strong.
Also, Tom, just to let you know that your screen is slightly slower today than it was last time. So when you're moving your cursor, you might have to do it a bit slower for us. Just because you said that's here fine. And then it moved about 5 minutes later.
Oh, nice little delayed reaction. So when we're looking at the work, very, very nice, strong work. Again, lacking a bit of context. So I would love to understand, is this one project? Is this multiple clients? It looks like it's multiple clients, but I don't really know who they are, what you've done for them. Yeah. So I really think just pick your strongest work and then really show it off. So, show close-ups of it, show it used on mock-ups like this. But I think this would be stronger if this whole area was dedicated perhaps to one client with the testimonials, with the mock-ups and various visual examples and breaking down that project a bit more. And then maybe you do that 2-3 times, just so that people can get a real close-up look of how talented you are in your work. And then if they want to click through and see everything in your portfolio, that's fine. But I'm not a huge fan of this grid. I think everyone does it because they feel like that's the done thing. Yeah. But I think there are more effective ways of really showing off your work.
Everyone in the chat is saying that this is a beautiful website.
It is, yeah, stunning. So again, we're looping that headline font down here for that visual consistency. We're tying that brand together. They got some blog articles. I think that's absolutely fine. They got some nice thumbnails. Again, nothing stands out here. Still super clean. Let's work together. Get in touch. I would possibly even put a short contact form there. I mean, it's fine to click through, but again, it's an extra step. So maybe you can just reshuffle this area slightly. But I'm so impressed. If I was looking to hire a designer, I may well hire you, Dominique, and I would love to just click here, pop you an email and hit send.
Yeah.
This feels a bit weird, this big white gap. I feel like these two should be joined. Yeah. So that feels like a mistake or an afterthought. But again, really balanced header, super clean, lovely color palette, lovely fonts. I'm a fan of this website.
I hope Dominique catches the replay because I didn't know here, but hopefully they'll watch it back.
So we're seeing another great use of typography here. I think there's a lot of people who really know their fonts in our community, which is great. So love the hover as well. Clean, super clean, nice fonts. The content looks interesting, actually, to be honest, but I just don't understand it. I don't know what this site is for, and that's the key piece that's lacking. I feel like I've clicked through to a sub page that is your blog or something like that.
Yeah, so SC in the comments just said we've gone straight into a blog type thing here. I'm not really sure what this person does.
Yeah, exactly that. So what's the whole purpose of the homepage again? It is to speak the language of the people who you want to be appealing to. It is to clearly articulate the value that they're going to get from being on your site in like 2 seconds flat. And it's to tell them what to do next. And currently this homepage doesn't really do any of that. So I can tell you know your stuff in terms of design, but I would just reframe your homepage. So if you put all of this lovely style into a better laid out homepage that does what I just described, I think you're going to be in a much stronger position.
Yeah.
So this is Deborah, who I know she's on the call today, isn't she? Shout out to Deborah.
Yes, she is. Hey, Deb.
Amazing. So super cool logo. I think that's beautiful, and it really fits with like the photography art side of her work.
Deborah's style as well. Like from knowing Deborah, I'm like, that's Deborah's logo.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's great. It instantly shows off her style. She probably knows what I'm going to say next. So this, for me, not a strong headline. This is like 1995, where everyone was setting up their blogs, and it's just like, welcome to my geospace, welcome to my home on the web, that kind of thing. It doesn't do any of those things in terms of articulating what your sites can do for the visitor, the value it can bring, or anything like that. I think otherwise, this looks pretty good. You've got a clear menu here. People can navigate your work. I'm not really sure if you want me to hire you. This kind of feels like just a gallery. So I can click around your photography. If you do want me to hire you, then your contact is like absolutely tiny, and you're kind of not holding my hand towards that. But, it's a nice basic site. I feel like maybe the cleanness of the site is not reflected in the logo. And I actually like the logo so much. I would love to see more of a custom built site, maybe a bit less templatey, that pulled through this lovely, gorgeous aesthetic of this vintage heart crumbly, crumbly logo. And imagine if the whole site kind of had that color palette and that feel. I think that would maybe frame your work in a stronger way than just this kind of clean template. But if you can't do that and you're sticking with the template, then I think a simple bit of just two things, like mix up the copywriting, make it super clear what people are going to get from being here, and then give them a call to action. So maybe show off a few pieces of work here, but be like, jump in and like hire me, or go explore these different sections, or whatever it is you want them to do. But right now I feel like I'm at a bit of a dead end where my reaction is nice logo, nice photo. I don't know what to do next.
Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments here. Sue, shout out to Sue, she's on the call today. Tom did a blog review for me some years back. It was great, and I even applied the changes he suggested.
I remember that. Is that Sue Hall?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Sue?
Everyone's jumping in here, so I'm just trying to read these really quickly.
Right.
Said, I created it for an art competition. What the logo is that, Deborah? Because it's awesome. Delay in the chat again.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going with Zingara. Cool name. I go on the site. You probably know what I'm going to say at this point. I don't know what it does.
Yeah.
I get a feel from it. I get a very high-end feel. This feels like high-end art, photography, fashion kind of thing. That's the vibe I'm getting from it. I feel like it could be for the Saatchi gallery or something like that.
Yeah, it is really nice.
So yeah, it's lovely. And I understand that in this space of art, often websites are a bit more abstract. And I always kind of struggle with that because, like, on one hand, I believe in usability and helping the user, but on the other side, I feel like some of the artistic types that are into this stuff don't mind a bit of abstraction as much as your average website visitor. That being said, I think it certainly could be clearer and maintain some of that minimal style. So just even up here, like a tagline, some kind of headline or something that said the work of, I mean, like I don't know what the site is for still. Here we go. Okay, so I have to go all the way down to discover a Melbourne-based design studio, illustration and graphic design. Yeah, I didn't get that. And that's a real problem. If I can be on your website for like 20 seconds and not understand what you do, then that's something that I would remedy. And the style, the brand, the visuals, the photography is absolutely stunning. But I think just moving up some of this key information, I would put something like a picture of you right up there so people can see the person behind the brand. Again, I'm not getting like a definitive call to action. So do you want me to?
In the chat just goes, woo, Australia.
So
we've got a Phil Howell in the chat today.
Yeah. That's Phil from HE Creative. Oh, cool. They do all the punk rocker illustrations.
Sick is what he said. So he's a fan.
Yeah, for the record, the work is incredible.
Really
this
cool.
Is the kind of work I aspired to do when I was at college and stuff. I think it's really, really stunning. I love the style of it. I actually do like this, how I feel like I'm in a gallery right now, going through. And I think the aesthetic you created is really nice. Again, beautiful.
So modern and chic, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's very chic.
Like editorial kind of.
Yeah. I mean, down to the point is like, I'm not going to use a button. I'm not going to use a standard form. I'm just going to have a line. I'm kind of juggling here between just being completely chic and abstract and actually giving a website that is clear. I think you should bring a bit of that clarity back into the website, and I think you will be able to maintain the aesthetic through doing that. So I think you've got to strike a balance, because right now there's too much digging for my liking. And again, you got the hamburger menu. In fact, does that do anything? Yeah, it does. I mean, but there was like a 2-second delay on that. And so I would say you're being too minimal and too chic, and you've got to bring a bit of usability in while retaining that. Cool. So next we have Cory Kerr. And I've actually seen Cory's work on Instagram. It's very cool.
Was Cory on last week, I feel? Or the last time that you were here? Or have I made that up? I don't know.
What, with this website?
I can't remember. I just remember
It looks very familiar, but I feel like I've seen his work on Instagram a whole bunch.
Maybe,
Let us know in the comments, maybe. So we're getting what I like to call gallery syndrome again, where I'm like, this is a bunch of work. It's like visually very stunning. It's very overwhelming. I almost don't know where to look, and I don't really know what to do next. So I'm scrolling. I get this giant grid. I get a bunch of call to action buttons. I don't really know which one to click. I keep scrolling. I get more illustrations. I get a search box. I'm not really sure what I should be searching. I get a tiny contact link, which almost feels like a button for the search form, which is super confusing.
Yeah.
And then click on, see, I didn't even mean to click that. Wait for this to load, and then, click on the link above to join the newsletter. So very, very confusing, this area. And then I'm also not a huge fan of sliders. I said that on the last call. They've been proven to actually turn users away. They're quite abrasive as a user experience, and often people don't stick around to see the fourth image in the slide. So I think, just
land up with that avocado there.
I know this is really trippy work, but I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
He definitely has talent. Wow. Yeah, that's someone with a bomb for a head. Look at that. And then, take a moment to follow, like, and comment. Again, I don't really see where I can follow, like, and comment. I don't make the connection between this and the social links, and that's a bit of a jump for your users to do that. So I can't imagine that's going to be doing a lot for you. So what I would love to do with this website would be have a spring clean. And it's really satisfying to do that, because if you basically strip out everything that isn't really working for you or really adding to what you want people to do, then the whole thing becomes a lot more focused. So if we look around here, it's like, okay, people can buy stickers. Presumably you want them to hire you. There's a podcast, there's videos. What I would do is I would have that clear welcome area where you've got your headline, you've got maybe a background collage or something that's really visually striking, but rather than being like 500 designs, it's a custom built background that features some of your work. And then straight away, it's like, bam, here's what this website does. Here's what you're going to get for being here. And then straight after that, it's like, here's the main thing I want you to do next, whatever that might be. Yeah. And then underneath that, you would have your sub areas where it's like, by the way, like, this section over here, like, if you want to listen to the podcast, go here. If you want to buy stickers, like, here's the best-selling stickers or the latest stickers that I've released, or something like that. So I think literally keep it as simple as like big hero, welcome area, then like 3 or 4 subsections underneath, which are kind of pushing your key stuff that you offer, and then that's it. Whereas this site goes on for a long time and there's a lot of very confusing things, especially further down. I would just tighten the whole thing up.
We've got a massive shout out to you in the chat from Phil, actually, Tom. He said, from Phil Howell.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Phil said, Tom once told us to change our whole site, and 2 days later, we had made more money than we had made in 4 years. The boy is a genius.
Damn. Thanks, Phil. Can we copy and paste that, and can I use that as a testimonial on my website?
Yeah, let me
know. But yeah, that was really fun. Giving Phil some advice with his site. Definitely put it in the chat, Phil, and everyone go check it out, because it looks so much more them than their early website did. So I'm going to jump straight ahead. This is Design Thoughts. So we've got DT going on.
Design Thoughts is in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Okay. What is Design Thoughts' name?
Yeah, I feel like I recognize the name Design Thoughts from, like, perhaps Instagram, but your actual name escapes me. So please do let us know in the chat if you're keen to share.
Sorry, Liz. I'm being blind. Right here. Liz May. Of course it is.
I know the name Design Thoughts, but I couldn't think why. Hi,
Liz. So there's a few things going on here. I think it is actually a pretty nice, clean, lovely looking website. I think your work looks very, very nice. We go down here. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to find I'm about to. Oh, I remember this actually.
Yeah, I've seen this somewhere.
So many of these people I chat with on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. So there is probably going to be the most repetition out of any critique happening on this website. I think overall it is certainly nothing bad. There's a lot of strong points about it. But going from the top, you're giving equal hierarchy to your entire message here as you are your menu. If anything, you're giving less hierarchy because the menu's higher up,
Yeah.
which means my eye initially goes to the menu, and it's an afterthought to actually understand who you are, what you do, and what value you bring me. So I would look at maybe juggling that. Personally, I would like to see your logo perhaps on the left, then pull the menu up to the right, make it slightly smaller, and then make the headline more concise, a little bit shorter, but larger. And then straight away, you would land on the page. It would pull things up to about there, so you get more real estate for your work. And then with that larger, more compelling short headline, I would immediately get my eye drawn to that, and I would immediately understand what you do and what I should be doing next. So I would go for that better headline. Again, make it about what value you can bring, make it about the client, not about yourself, and then have a strong call to action button underneath in terms of get in touch, hire me, or check out more of my work, whatever you want to go with. Then we got a bit of the gallery syndrome down here again, showing every project under the sun. I would and the hover, the classic hover, where it's like that extra step, and then I have to click through. So what I would do is I would pick out your absolute best 2 to 3 projects from this, and then I would show them more in depth, again, with the mock-ups, again, with the close-ups and all that kind of thing, with testimonials, and just actually shout about them. And this is a great tip. This is how we do business at Design Cuts, right? One of our founding principles is quality over quantity. And that maps to everything, including how you can think about your website design. So I was talking to someone recently, and they had one of the dreaded sliders, and they had it with their testimonials on their website. So they had about 10 testimonials. Each one was a block of text, and every second it would flick round to the next testimonial, which meant it was just an endless slew of text, and you didn't want to read any of it because it was tiny words. And before you started reading, it went to the next one. So how about instead of 10, you pick the best one, and then you paraphrase that to a shorter thing that people can skim read in 2 seconds. So suddenly you've got 1 testimonial instead of 10, and then you actually do justice of showing that off in a proper quality way. So you could have supportive images about that client and their project to coincide with their testimonial. You could even have a short video that people can click on or watch embedded of that client singing your praises, or you hanging out with them at the launch of their new showroom, or whatever it is the project was. And by doing that, you can see the difference between like a 10 testimonial slider and actually just a single testimonial, but one that really sings the praises of the job you did on that. And people actually want to look at it and pay attention to it because it's one thing, not 10, and it's done that much better.
Would you still have the rest of them somewhere else on the site though? Because do you think that runs the risk of people being like, have they only got the one, or have other people said some stuff about their work?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone's singing your praises, then absolutely below that area, be like, want to see more testimonials from my happy clients? Click here. But trying to cram 10 into one page on a tiny area with tiny text is a recipe for disaster. I think people really need to like celebrate them and show them off properly. And you can't do that by cramming a dozen into one space.
Sure. Liz obviously is in the chat. So Liz has said she's giggling because she was thinking about stripping some of it back. And she's going to ask, should she put more on her portfolio page? She completely gets what you mean.
Yeah, I think you can have more on your portfolio page, but I mean, how many projects do people really need to look at before they're actually compelled to hire you? I would argue probably no more than 6. And I think you will always be able to tell and get feedback on what those strongest projects are. And if anything, think about the average. So if you've got 6 projects instead of 12 and you're picking your best 6, then the average bar of quality for those 6 projects is going to be that much higher than the 12. So inherently, you're going to be perceived as a better designer just by cutting out the weaker projects from your portfolio. And I think people are really like resistant to that. They feel like if I don't show everything, it seems like I'm not established or whatever. But I actually think it's the opposite. I think cherry picking is really smart, to the point when I used to do this, every time I would add one, I would actually remove one. So normally, as I went on and developed my skills, I would get better. And so my more recent projects would be my best projects. So when I put in a new project, it would invariably be the best work I'd done. And then I'd take one of the older ones out and remove that because that was dragging down that average quality.
I suppose you can always use things like Instagram. Since it is such a visual platform, you can kind of use that if you want to log your work somewhere and have all of it.
Yeah, like if you want it for nostalgia.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for that nostalgic purpose, you can go back 5 years and be like, oh, isn't that nice, that early project? But for your actual converting tool for your portfolio, where you're trying to convert that to clients, like really cherry pick, in my opinion. And then final thing on this website, we go down here. This does not help anyone. Yes, it might be legally necessary, but I feel like you're giving too much visual focus in this giant blue area that's pulling my eye away from your work. I don't care about the environmental policy or your privacy policy. No one likes reading terms and conditions. So I would tuck that away smaller in a white background area. And I would give people more than the dead end they currently have, where they get down here and they're like, oh, great, I either click on your terms and conditions or there's not a lot for me to do down here. So big call to action. What do they do next? Presumably hire you at this point.
Just before we move on from this one, we've got a question that's come in from Amy, who said, when talking about testimonials, you mentioned paraphrasing them. Is it okay to alter people's words, or do you need to get their permission first?
I think it's one of those things where your gut will tell you what's right. So we've had testimonials where we can like slightly correct the grammar, or just like condense it down, and it's completely fine. If you're altering it to make it sound better than it really is, then obviously that's a no-no. Okay, next one. So we got Paul.
That's really helpful, by the way, and she's definitely going to update it. Thank you so much.
Amazing. So I can't remember. I've seen so much of Paul's work and website this year.
Okay,
did we cover it last time? Did he redo it?
Comment with the link. So he did send it to us on your last call, but we didn't get round to it.
We didn't get round to it. Okay.
He's happy for you to do everyone else's first if you want to, seeing as we did him on the Preston call, but he has made some changes since then that he thought we could check out.
No, I would love to do this as a good example. Plus, we love Paul. So
Plus, if we do Paul's, then he can go and get some sleep. He's still awake at a crazy hour.
I can already tell this is going to be a good one. Okay, so what happens? Like when I do this, I try and imagine I don't know these people. So I've got no context. I just close my eyes and then I'm opening them and looking at the website. And what do I see? My eye goes straight here. And I read it and I go, delight and excite your audience with my children's illustrations. It's like, cool. So I can understand there's some value there for me as a potential client. I understand you do children's illustrations. You clearly are a niche designer, which is a strong thing. You're not offering just anything. And then you'd love to chat. So that's a nice friendly tone and then a clear call to action. Get in touch. So presumably at this point, I know exactly what you want me to do, but I'm going to scroll down a bit and I can see, wow, he's got real talent. Yeah. So this is great. This is work. And this is what I'm talking about. How much more engaging is this than like a grid of 12 things? Yeah. And I don't know which one I want to pick because I'm like, okay, I can see the project, but I've got these great mock-ups. I've got close-ups. I've got like inner slides to do with it. Like that has so much visual impact. And then I've got some context. So it's like, okay, here's a project that he did. I can see who the client was. I would love a testimonial on here. And hopefully if you talk to the client and ask nicely, you can get one, but that would be really powerful. Mm-hmm. I don't think there would be any harm in repeating your call to action. So let's say I saw this and went, that's really nice. I saw a testimonial, which was like, wow, this was incredible for us and it was our best-selling game and all the customers loved it. I'd definitely work with Paul again. If you then had a button here being like, want similar results for your business, then like get in touch to hire me. Yeah. I'll reword it slightly from that, but that's the gist of what you want to be saying. That becomes quite compelling. And so then you go down and go, oh, there's even more work. Like, man, he really is great. Love everything about this as well. Doesn't matter. It's a portfolio project. It's really nicely presented. It shows your skills. And again, maybe have another one here where it's like, cool, like if you like this kind of style, then I'd love to work with you. And you can word that in different ways. So it's not repetitious in terms of just like, hire me. Yeah,
the whole way. He in the chat just literally said, if we're going to have multiple CTAs, shall we have different wording for each one? But you just answered that. So yeah, try and make it slightly different if you can, so it doesn't just get really repetitive.
Cool. So with this, I understand it's a wall mural. I would love to see some pictures. So it's not just for showing off your work. I love what you've done here in terms of the mock-up. So if this is a wall mural, then where is the actual wall? Maybe you haven't done it yet, but if you have, I'd love to see a photo of it. And
we'll
even better,
at least.
Yeah, mock it up, exactly. So you get it, SJ. So
I've got now, Tom.
So also think about these as an example of how you can show credibility and that you really know your stuff as part of the image itself. It doesn't all have to be the text, because people's eye gets more drawn to this than this. So what I mean by that is, if this did go on to become a best-selling game on the back of it looking awesome, then put like a badge here or some kind of infographic or visual that said went on to be their best-selling game.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to instantly see that, but I might not read through the testimonial. Same thing here. A great example of how to make that credible is maybe you show the graphical version like this, but then you have a photo of the final version on the wall. And then maybe it's actually you and the client stood in front of it, like shaking hands or with your arms around each other, looking really happy. And that does a few things. That gives credibility to the fact of like, you actually did this work. This is a real client. Here it is looking amazing, and people can kind of get the context of how it looks in real life. But also, if you're there smiling and hanging out with a client, that says a lot about how you are as a person and the relationships and closeness you have with your clients. That shows a lot more than just like a flat JPEG ever can. So I think that stuff's really important. And I would love to see that throughout. So if one of these images was the actual box of the game on a desk with you and the client hanging out, like looking really proud of it, like how much impact would that have?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I love this as well. Really, really cool. Nice. I would maybe not put like yourself as the client. I would just say like personal project, because that seems like you're making up a client, but obviously it's just you. But how visually engaging is all of this? I mean, this is how it should be. If this was just a flat JPEG, it would be stunning work. But this really pops out, pops out of the screen at you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just to let you know, we're in our final sort of 45 minutes, just to let you know.
Perfect. Also, the audio is a little bit choppy, so hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So also nice hierarchy. My eye keeps getting drawn by the slightly larger text size and color here. So it goes here, then it goes here exactly as it should. You're not pulling it in 5,000 directions. It's very much like a linear path down the page. That call to action down here, super strong. Well done repeating that. You don't want people to have to scroll back up for it. This is exactly what we just talked about. He's a good boy, Paul's mum.
Love that.
I would totally keep that. I think that's fantastic. But see, look,
hard mock-ups from Design Cuts, by the way.
So I'm starting to read this testimonial. Oh, and I got a quarter of the way through that, and then it pinged away. And so if I want to read it, I have to click here, and then it's probably going to ping again. This is why I hate sliders. Very, very bad UI. And also no one wants to read all of that. So I would go find one that's like this long, and I would do everything I just talked about like 5 minutes ago in terms of how to properly position a compelling testimonial. And also, if these are some of the people that pertain to these projects, put the testimonial right, in this bit here. Don't make people go all the way down. So a little bit of about me, and then get in touch. So super focused at the end. Shows the branding here. I think this is super strong. Yeah. I think Paul's absolutely killed it.
Just said, because obviously if you guys were on the call that we had with Preston, we actually went through Paul's site then. So Amy was there, obviously we were there, and it's really nice to see the work that Paul's put in. He's gone away, he's taken everything on board, and we've come back with this and he's absolutely nailed it. So shout out to you, Paul. It's amazing.
Massive props for this. Is a perfect example of someone that's actually executed. So
yeah, definitely. Really nice.
I love it. Hopefully that second round of feedback helps. Final point for me, I feel like there is quite a lot of unnecessary padding. Again, because your work is so gorgeous, it's becoming obscured down here. So maybe if we drop the logo somewhere down here, rebalance the headline in some kind of way, and then moved up this area without so much negative space, you'd probably get to about there. And in that space, you should be able to do logo, headline, and call to action. And then suddenly you're seeing this work for what it really is.
One thing that did come up in the chat, which I'm sure Paul's seen, but I'd like to just get your thoughts on, Tom, is Paul's logo not quite reflecting the kind of children's illustration fun that he is.
Who made that comment?
A couple of people now.
Okay. Have we got any names?
Yeah, I'm just scrolling back up. Ooh. I want to say Sven and
okay.
Becky.
Sven and Becky.
Yeah, Jackie, sorry.
Jackie, Sven and Jackie. Okay, well, Sven and Jackie, stop trying to work me out of a job because you are exactly right. That is, that's a really good point. So you guys nailed it. Cool. All right, so next one is Anna's fonts.
Okay, I don't know if Anna's here, but might be watching the replay later.
Cool. Okay, let's have a little flick around. Okay, so I can understand from the URL and from some of the imagery here.
Coming for you, Tom.
What's that, sorry?
Jackie said she's coming for you.
Bring it on, Jackie. Okay, so Anna's fonts, like I can obviously get a pretty good idea that Anna makes fonts from the imagery and from the domain name, but I would love some kind of overall headline, some kind of overall clarity in terms of what kinds of fonts, like what kind of people it's meant to be for. So if I landed and it was like handmade fonts for XYZ, that would be really good, because these aren't just any fonts. These aren't like, yeah, there's some variety, but I'm generally getting like a very creative vibe from them.
Yeah.
Equally, you know what I'm saying about sliders. This is already annoying me because I feel like I just can't focus on anything and it pulls so much attention. So I'm going to go through to like, oh man, seriously, I hate sliders. Let's try and go through to like one of the coolest ones. I don't know. Let's stick it on this for now. Imagine if this was a little bit smaller and you had that headline giving immediate clarity. I feel like you're actually lacking any kind of logo or something right now, particularly for someone that's a font maker. I'd love to see some amazing typographic logo up here on the left. Shift these menu items over to the right. Have a real visual, visually impactful area here. Combine with that headline. Combine with the main call to action of like shop my fonts or something like that. Obviously, error code here. You want to get that fixed. I have no idea what this is. This feels very out of place, very out of context. Maybe that's because there would have been some text to the right here, which gave context to it. So I won't stick on that too much. And then Instagram, we talked about this on Preston School. I feel like you're just basically pulling people away from what you actually want them to do. Yeah. Do you want them to buy your fonts? Do you want them to hire you? Or do you want them to leave your site entirely and go float around on Instagram where there's a billion other designers and distractions pulling at their attention? I would argue not. So for me, I would want to see this area gone. And then I would just properly show off some of the fonts, particularly if you're trying to sell them on this platform, which I think Anna is. This needs to feel like more of an e-commerce site. So I would be, showing, here are my best sellers. Here are my most popular fonts. Here are my, serif fonts and my display fonts and things of that nature. So that's what I would do. I would clean it up and I would make it a more properly optimized e-commerce website that's actually going to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Because, this feels like a portfolio.
Yeah.
Just a final thought. I'm like, oh, that looks nice. I don't even understand that I can buy it or I'm meant to be buying it. So very cool. We got half an hour left. I'm going to have to speed up seriously.
I don't know if you have the time on your screen or not.
Okay, so next we have...
Actually, we're not too bad. We haven't got too many left, actually.
There's a few. We're about halfway through and we've been going 50 minutes. So yeah, I've definitely got to speed up. Okay, so we've got Claire, artists, researchers, and teachers. Again, no idea what they do. I mean, in fact, let's do an experiment for a second. Put in the chat if you can work out what they do from this, and I want to see what people are saying.
Yeah, to me, what's going past on the slider there looks like they could be prints. Like I could see that as wall art, maybe. Mm-hmm. If I was to stick it in a frame.
Let me know what people say in the chat because I can't see it.
So we've got a gallery, ? Art teachers maybe from Amy, an artist from Alda. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what did Amy just say? Art teachers maybe ? There should be no maybe about your website. Remember, website visitors are very lazy, so any ambiguity, I'm not quite sure, and they're gone. that's going to be your bounce rate. So you really want to clarify that.
Yeah, Pam said, I'm not sure researchers and teachers tie in together. Got photography, teachers,
Yeah.
gallery teachers again.
So if this website or any website is kind of properly optimized, then right now in the chat, everyone should be saying in a heartbeat exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're not. And then I went down expecting to be like, oh, it's going to tell me down here, and it doesn't. So I'm actually going to have a click here. Okay, so it's 4 artists. I mean, I'm going to read it now, but if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't read this as a fleeting website visitor.
So yeah, Essie in the chat said, what is Clare? A location, a collective, a school? So it just said based in Clare, right? So I presume that's a location.
Yeah, I didn't know that though. Okay, I've just read their about page. I still don't fully understand it, to be honest. Okay, so they got some, so I get their artists. They've got exhibitions for their work. Presume this is going to be a bit about the 4 artists,
Yeah.
Okay, so by the look of it, this is a collective portfolio for artists who I think are also teachers and researchers, which makes sense. At first, I'm like, who's Claire? And she seems to be a busy lady because she's got a lot going on. Yeah. I appreciate like locals who visit the website might have that context, but if you're reaching anyone outside of that, maybe you want to clarify that. So I would spell it out. I wish I landed on the site and it was like, this is home to the work of 4 artists who are based out of Clare, and have a look at their work. And here you can go check out their upcoming exhibitions. Here you can like buy prints. Here you can learn more about them. But right now, I think you have a clarity problem on your website.
What someone SC has just pointed out a very good point, which I've only just realised because they've said it. It's the SE/art at the top. A for artists, R for researchers, T for teachers.
Ooh, that's smart.
But SE has only said that just now, which now I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
I don't know if that's left or right brained, but that is a astute person that pointed that out. Okay, so next we've got Creative Bia.
Yeah, I thought we had this last time, so I think there could be perhaps some improvements on here from your last call.
I think there is. Oh, I think there is. Are they on the chat? Otherwise, I might have to.
No, let us know if this is you.
I feel like there are improvements there. Maybe.
Nothing in the chat yet, so maybe not. They might catch the replay.
Okay, I feel like it is improved. I think last time there was some issues around like
what I remember, it's very grey and yellow. Still.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I will give one comment and then like let us know, and maybe next time we can dig into it a bit more. I would go full width because currently my eye is kind of meeting this divide here, and I feel like if these went full width, the whole page would flow a bit better. But yeah, otherwise, hopefully we can come back to that one.
Maybe there was like a lot of white space. I seem to remember.
Yeah,
that's gone now, which is good.
Cool. So next up, we have Adventurous Pencil. That's a very cool name.
Yeah, I like that. Let us know if you're in the chat today.
Let's have a little scroll around. In fact, I'm going to go from the top. I'm just going to give my kind of thoughts out loud. Straight away, I think, okay, minimal logo. It might be nice just to see Adventurous Pencil here. So I've got some clarity.
Okay, Amy Dunas.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Is she on the call?
She is, yeah.
Cool. Hey, what's up, Amy?
She said logo is in development, and she said hello.
Awesome. I feel like I'm missing a menu here or something, unless this is a one-page website, which it may well be. Illustration, design, and creative communications. I mean, it's clear, at least I understand what's going on. I feel like maybe these should be flipped and reworded slightly. So if I was a client, I'm going to care more about, oh, wow, she can help my brand stand out. And then underneath that, like, through these types of services. This call to action, I'm kind of like, I don't get it. In fact, I'm going to click it.
Yeah, so I think SC said in the chat that sounded quite dismissive, where it's like, I kind of just want to leave the homepage.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this isn't for me. I'm just here for art. And I'm like, you mean hiring you for art or looking at more of your art? Or I don't get it. So I would re-clarify that. Also, yeah, there's some very faint, I don't know if you can see that, a faint like yellow dividing line here. But I think because it's quite a similar color to this,
Yeah,
it feels,
probably because
yeah.
shared
Cool. Well, if you go on the website later, anyone, there's like a yellow dividing line here, I'm pretty sure. And that just makes it feel really unclean. It makes the edge look blurred. Whereas if it just went from white to this kind of salmon color, then it would look cleaner. I'm not 100% sold on the color palette. I feel like they're competing a bit. This is like a lot more bright and kind of vivid. And I feel like this is a bit more dull. And I don't quite understand like what your brand is all about, especially here. I've got like this monochrome, black and white logo that's super clean. So this is giving me one aesthetic. The bright blue is giving me another, and then the kind of dull salmon is giving me another. And I feel like none of them really kind of tie through.
It's in development at the moment.
What was that, sorry?
The logo is in development at the moment.
Cool. But yeah, just color palette wise, I'd love to see like a, pick kind of one and tie them together more consistently. The work looks amazing though, to be honest. And I like this little split screen in terms of like, I know what to do here. This is quite strong call to action. So I want illustration and design. I want to shop art. I don't really like, here is this some more clarity. Like, am I going to see your work? Am I going to hire you? So I understand here I'm going to buy art, but here, am I just going to see it or am I going to hire? And then this kind of gets rendered a little bit superfluous in that case. So I'd almost rather lose this as a bit of a weaker call to action, re-clarify your headline and make that stronger. And then these are actually super impactful, I think, and show off your work in quite an interesting way and let people navigate in quite an interesting way. So then we go down here, and again, I'm getting kind of, I'm getting a really different feel. You know what I mean? When the salmon's gone away, when I'm down here, I'm like, oh, this feels really light and fresh. This, I think, kind of goes, but it's a bit of a different feel. Yeah, I feel like the whole mood of the page kind of lifts at this point. So I think personally, I'm not actually sure about the salmon. So maybe if we're losing this blue here, you turn this whole top area blue, or even black and white, open with that, and then the blue's like a nice accent on that. So in terms of creative services, that's cool. I think there's some issues with padding here. I feel like there's a little bit too much padding between the text. Okay. So the padding here is fine, but like maybe squish these together slightly more. I feel like I want to click them, or I should be able to click them, or like they do something. Maybe that's just the nature of the shape, the circle shape she's using. Yeah. So maybe there's something there, or like you have a call to action button underneath each one or something like that. We go down to case studies, really beautiful work again. Some and there's a lot of good points about the website, by the way. It's super clean. It has a nice feel. The work is stunning. So I'm not trying to like rag on it, but okay. So this is what I mean about weaving a case study, really visual opening, showing a work in progress, talking about the actual project, showing some mock-ups, and a testimonial. Mm-hmm. So this is really strong. How much stronger is that as a little narrative to visually weave through, as opposed to here is a grid of 12 projects where you need to hover over and have all these crazy effects going on? Yeah.
Amy said picking up all of the points, so welcome to rag.
Okay. I think as well, yeah, for me, like this is pretty awesome. I would be tempted to potentially lose the circles here. I'm not sure they're working so well. They feel like they're just stuck on for the sake of it. And it's like, if you have an image of this guy, maybe he's like jutting out from here and he's like cut out. So he feels a bit more like integrated with the layout. For me, the circle thing just feels a bit templatey in what is otherwise quite a nicely customized, put together website. And then consultancy, product development. Okay, so we've got an about page or an about section rather. Or is this another case study? Not sure, but this is cool. Again, I really like the mock-ups and the actual photo shoots you've had done around your work. I think it shows it off in a unique way. So you're not just another kind of keyboard warrior designer who never shows their face. You're getting out there and having the credibility of actually working with clients. Number of artists. Yeah, great testimonial. And then, here again, not loving the circles. And it's like, okay, so Scott, I'm guessing this is obviously Scott, not this, but it's confusing having two people under one testimonial. So I would just think about clarifying this area. I like the little faint background touches here. I would personally be tempted to maybe grayscale them because it gets a little bit muddy with the colors. I think that's like really faint red and blue. So I would get that clean by grayscaling.
I really love the call to action there, like get results like Wild & Co. And then there's literally a button.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
So cool.
I think that's exactly what I was saying with Paul. It's like get results like this project. Did you like this project? Then hire me. It's a really nice tie-in. Although to be honest, how tiny is that? I actually missed it.
Yeah.
So I would go solid button color, bigger button. I would have some more fun like this. Something that's in keeping with your brand. But if Scott has just said, holy crap, this is blowing my mind and I feel on top of the world based on the work that you've done, then be like, have your mind blown like Scott's, or, something that ties the copywriting in and does it in a slightly more interesting way. But I love this. Yeah, the principle is really good. I feel like this starts to jump all over the place. I'm not a huge fan of where you go from like this centered body text to left over here. I feel like I would rather just have this above here, because then my eye can naturally scan down it rather than jumping between alignments. I think this makes your very clean layout less clean. This is cool, showing case studies. I feel, it's quite a lot, but this is kind of what I was expecting because it lacked that menu at the top. So I said it would probably be a one-page website. Yeah. Being really fussy, I feel like, was that one space? I feel like there's two spaces here, and I've seen this on a few bits of body text, and it's bugging me as a designer. It's like really nice typography, but I feel like there's something going on with like a double spacing on some parts. But yeah, it's great. And look at this strong call to action at the bottom. Still not perhaps loving the salmon blue. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's such a clean site, and that feels a bit muddy. It doesn't feel that clean. But otherwise, very, very strong. Your work looks awesome. Your brand looks awesome. I love how you've gone about portraying those case studies.
I can tell that Amy's done her homework, and after all the calls that she's had with you and the Preston call, which I believe Amy was on, I feel like she's gone away and, she's put into action as much as she can from what she'd written down or whatever. So shout out to you, because you've done a really great job.
And I would love to have you back on the show, because I personally feel like this is 90% there.
Yeah, I was going to say we can definitely get it to the 100%.
Okay, so Moon Dance Astrology with Pamela. Have we got Pamela on the call?
I'm not sure. Let us know. I haven't seen a Pamela in the chat, I don't think. Well, we've got Pam McClung, but that's not the same one. So.
No. Okay. Cool. So
Pam's just clarifying it's not her.
Okay. So I'm just having a flick through before we get into it. All right. There's a few things going on. It's a lot. It's a busy website. It's my first thought. And that is both visually in terms of the actual weight of content. There's a lot of things. So let's break it down. We've got the logo, which has a particular font. I think we've then got perhaps a slightly different font here. Then we've got potentially a different font here on the login. The menu then has a different font and a bunch of drop downs. You've then got text on the left and on the right with very, very busy background imagery, to the point this is actually affecting the legibility at a glance of some of this text, because you've got such a busy textured background. And it's not that dark. If this was like a really dark background with some of these textured effects, then this text would really pop. But as it is, you've gone for like a quite dangerous, like mid yellowy gray, which white text does not stand out against very well. So, so So looking at that, my eye just bounces around because it starts at the logo, it goes down here, bounces kind of left to right with the menu and the login and everything. Then it goes down here and I'm like, which bit am I meant to read first? I presume this is the headline. So I kind of go here and then I bounce over here, but then I think, wow, that's a lot of text to get through. And again, it's very busy visually and I perhaps don't want to read it all. And then you've got the call to action here, which again, can you see how the lines here are getting a bit lost? Because these are similar in terms of shade.
Yeah.
It's like a mid blue and a mid gray. And then we've got some of the credibility things here. I'm unsure if this is Pamela or if this is a stock photo. And I don't, so let's read through. We've got strategies, tap into the heart of your best self, clearly define your life purpose, excavate your true nature, and understand the cycles of time and planets. So I get that it's about astrology. Here's what I would love to see, Pamela. I would love to see this top area cleaned up and optimized. So let's get that logo over to the left. Let's get the menu over to the right. That's going to pull the page up. I'm not sure this is needed because you can actually get this in your hero area where people are going to want to look at it. I would get your car and your login way up to the top right where you'd expect them to be because they're kind of pulling focus. And so if we do that, suddenly it kind of moves your website up to about there. This gives you a lot of real estate for a proper welcome area. And presuming this perhaps is a stock photo rather than you, I would have a photo of you right here because it's you selling your services. So I think people need to make that human connection. I think there's something weird going on with this page. If you look, there's like this gap down here. So I don't know if that's a template messing up or something, but I would get it full width. So I would close that gap there on the left. And then I would condense this headline on the left and all these points into like one really clear headline and perhaps subheading, and then your call to action.
Estie's just asked a really valuable question, actually. I assume the text is on the image instead of live.
Yeah. Oh no, it's live text. Cool.
I was going to say, the question was, would that affect SEO?
Yes, it would.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, like for me, it's just there's no need to have this divide because you're kind of making the same exact point. So I would create
the sort of logo icons next to the text that you've got on the right hand side there, but I'm losing them a little bit because of this sort of goldeny, sparkly background thing.
Oh yeah, it's all getting lost. So I would have a nice big picture of Pamela here smiling and you know, surrounded by stuff that's pertinent to her subject matter. I would have a compelling headline here, which instantly grabs people and kind of condenses down what she's saying here in terms of the value proposition. Maybe a subheadline to give a little bit more detail and context to that, and then a bold call to action in terms of schedule consultation, which is, you know, a perfectly strong call to action. Instead of having this whole block of text here about her credibility, maybe show that visually, like I alluded to before, like have a little badge or something about her credentials in this area so people can see that at a glance as they take in her photo. And I think because of time, I won't be able to go through the entire website.
Your 15-minute warning.
Okay. Yeah, like that alone would just transform the efficacy of this website. And I think that's a lot to get started with. So hopefully if Pamela catches the replay, she can work on that and then come back on the show.
You may even get to do another one of these if they're continuing to be popular.
Exactly. But you guys have to blow up the comments if you want that to happen. I'm liking the variety, by the way. This is not all design portfolios. We've got astrology. We've got rock painting guide now.
Yeah, I like it.
So straight away, I think this is annoying. I tend not to like this. Have we got whoever's site this is on the chat?
Yeah, if this is you, let us know. Haven't had anything in the chat just yet.
Cool. Yeah, I think these are generally not a good idea because they're just a distraction from what you actually want people looking at, especially when they're this bold and this big right there on the side. So I'm going to cover that up with my hand so I can properly take it.
What frustrates me about these things is, you know, the one that isn't like a mailbox or whatever. I always thought, like, oh, that's how I can contact these people, but it just gives you a link to email to someone to that site.
Yep.
And I always get so annoyed that if from a customer point of view, if I'm trying to like contact a clothing store or whoever, I'm like, I just want to email you. I don't want to give the link to someone else.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Okay, cool. So yeah, I would lose the thing that SJ hates and gets confused by, because I think she's right. I think it's fine having this clean menu at the top. I like how you've tied in your color palette between the logo. It's a very cool logo. I think it's perfect for the subject matter. Personally, I'm a huge fan of getting consistent alignment because the eye kind of bounces around otherwise. So if you look here, I think the edge of that logo, that should be lining up with this text here.
Yeah.
And same thing with this menu. And I've done this with so many people when I used to do web design and consultancy on this stuff. You'd be amazed at how instantly better the page feels. It's almost like you wouldn't necessarily notice it if I wasn't pointing it out, but to your subconscious, you just feel more at ease browsing this website. Like if they all just lined up like that, suddenly you're like, oh, I feel calmer on this page. So maybe slightly problematic having two menus, but I understand this is like a sub menu. So I would actually look at this and think, can I take some of this stuff and move it down to the footer? And I would argue yes, because you definitely don't need disclosure and privacy policy, if I can speak, and FAQs. You don't need all of that right in your most colorful, prominent menu up here.
Yeah, we would have that at the bottom of our website, right?
Exactly, a little footer menu. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to scroll and hide that. And it's like, okay, where does your attention go now? It goes to the logo and then straight to this menu here. I think it is perhaps problematic having it on two lines like this. I love what they've done in terms of like start here, featured artists and so on, but I would find a way to perhaps redesign this in a more traditional menu format and have it on one line just for clarity. But I think otherwise pretty solid idea at least. I feel like the text is maybe bouncing around a lot again. So I warned you at the start, I might be repeating some of the points, but look here, you've got this font here in the logo, you've got different font here. You've got a totally different font here, totally different font here again. And so it starts to feel very inconsistent. Whereas if it was perhaps two fonts, so imagine if this logo font got echoed in here, in their titles, and then this body text font here was used in the menu and the sidebar and everything. I think maybe they're similar, but just kind of spaced weirdly or something like that. So as well as not using so many different fonts, you want to look at a kind of visual hierarchy and consistency where it's like all your headlines are the same size, all your body text elements are the same size, all your menu items and links are the same size. Because if they're just varying wildly everywhere you click around, then it does start to feel a little bit disorganized.
I think as well for me, there's quite a few colors going on with the fonts. So like the blue, the pop, and is that a black? It looks like from here.
Yeah. So it's like black, red, blue. Yeah, you're totally right. And again, if we're looking at alignment, it's like, well, this is kind of center aligned. So is this. This is left aligned, but then these don't line up with that left. So I would actually love to see, I want to use this website as a case study in alignment more than anything, because I've talked a lot about copywriting and clarity and stuff on the school. So let's look at the alignment. We go here. Let's get this text here shifted over to the right slightly and lined up with that logo. Let's get this headline here, which I have to mention, obviously fix that copywriting because welcome doesn't tell people anything. So do tell them about the value there, but let's get that shunted over to the left. So you've got your headline here with one of your font choices. In alignment with that, you've got your text here, and then you make sure the bullet points are also aligned. And then you get these, so the right edge of this single line menu, when you fix that, lines up with the right side of the page, which is in alignment with these fields. And right now you've got like this kind of squish bit, then you've got a banner ad, which is wider, and it's just a little bit all over the place. And I mean, otherwise, really not bad. Like it's a solid site. You've got the main sections and it shows what's going on. But I just think lose the menu, fix the menu, create better alignment, and kind of organize your content a little bit better and try and pull through some of the aesthetic from this logo, because that logo is so beautiful. I would love to see, I like how your call to action button here matches the red of that logo. I think that's really nice. So maybe just keep it a little bit simpler. Maybe have black for your headline. So it's actually just the red that gets pulled through into your call to action. And then you can use the blue for something else if you use it at all. So yeah.
Deborah said thanks for the critique, Tom. She needs to head off because she's got a cold and it's making her wearing her down a little bit.
Cool.
Feel better, Deborah, and thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah. Appreciate it. I hope it was helpful. Have we got time for one more? We're definitely not going to get through them all.
10 minutes, so you need to quick fire.
I actually think I might have a call, so I might have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Quick fire. Okay, so
unless you want to do a call out and say if any of these people are on, speak now, and we'll do the ones that are here.
Well, maybe. I mean, do a shout in the chat if you suggested your website and I haven't got to it yet. How about that?
Yeah, if we haven't got to you yet, or you can see your tab at the top, please let us know, and we're happy to jump to you before we have to head off. So Denise Ann said me, she's the first person to reply, but I believe the one that we're on now, is that yours, Alda? We've got Alda who said, I'm here.
Hold on, we have got Denise Ann here.
Denise Ann, we've got Vera. Kat said, I'm next, but it's okay.
So, hold on. Where's Kat?
Which one's yours, Kat?
Yeah, this one.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Okay, so who have we got? I'm going to move these around quickly. So we have Denise Ann, we've got Kat.
Alda is 3 tabs away from the wedding one, I believe.
This is Alda, I think.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
No.
Here we go. Cool. Alda, I might put you last just because we did yours last time. So I know you've redone it and it is looking a lot better. Okay, so we got 4. I'm going to try and do...
Barbara's here too, but she said it's okay if you can't do it.
Okay, which one's Barbara's? What's it called?
What's your web address, Barbara? Paisley Slate.
Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, okay. This is a challenge. All right, let's go speedily. Okay, Paisley Slate, designed to communicate your message beautifully, and then that keeps changing effectively and so on. Okay, cool. So I get it's a designer. I understand some of the value that she's going to give. This is Barbara, you said, yeah? Nice. Can you hear me, SJ?
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading and drinking at the same time. Yes.
Okay. Cool. If I'm being super fussy, I don't like how the flowers get cut off there because it's quite a similar color, so it looks like an error as opposed to being like a content, area getting divided. So I would either like have them overlap here if possible or something like that. That's a very minor thing. I think it's really beautiful. I think the logo is stunning. Is there a little alignment issue? I think maybe there is. Yeah, so this headline is not quite lining up with the logo, and that bugs me. Again, if you shifted that a few pixels, it would suddenly just feel very slightly more together.
Yeah.
Love the background here. I feel like, yeah, it's pretty strong. I would love to know what to do next, to be honest. So maybe a call to action button or something here would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the fonts are bouncing around very slightly, but actually it's okay. You've kind of got these 2 main ones, which is great. The Paisley Slate advantage. I'm just going to read this super quick. Okay, so services and pricing. Book a free consultation. Cool. Okay. So overall, really good. I do feel a little bit like I need more clarity here because where it says designs, it's not immediately clear that you're selling design services. And especially with this kind of like farmhouse vibe in the background, I feel like I'm on a website where I'm going to buy like rustic furniture or something like that. So I would maybe communicate that slightly better. Here, this is precious real estate. So I understand you're saying this is the advantage of working with you, but I would actually prefer to see some value pumped in right here so people can glance at that and immediately get it. I love that you're going in depth, but I feel like this is a lot of text, to be perfectly honest. I was trying to read it and I'm just like my eyes getting pulled left to right. It's a lot. So if possible, I would be ruthless in your copywriting. And I would try and condense that down. If you can get the overall benefits of if you work with me, you're going to get X and Y benefits. I'm not sure you need to like fully extrapolate, what's behind web development and copywriting and things like that. Just saying that you offer those services should hopefully be enough under the umbrella of like, here's the main benefit of working with you. I think this feels incongruous in what's otherwise like quite a clean website. This like massive drop shadow and the white on white I'm not loving, so I'd prefer to have just a clean colored button. Also, top tip, on your call to action buttons and your links, try and use a unique color. So for me, it doesn't really work having this, even if you made it blue, that would be the same color as this and it wouldn't stand out. You get what I mean, SJ? So by making this a unique color that falls, complements your color palette, the eye will definitely go to that rather than competing with all the blue down here. Book a free consultation. I would love to actually see your image further up here because I'm going to be talking to you. I'm not going to be talking to a fountain pen. So that is worth doing. Client reviews, we kind of touched on this, but I would have one instead of the scroller, and I would beef it up and actually show some visuals around it, paraphrase it to make it more scannable and just make it more compelling. I think. Yeah, and then some basic alignment things. So again, this is not lining up with that. You've got center alignment here. This is all the way out on the right. So I feel like the eye's bouncing around a little bit. But I feel like that would be quite easy to fix. So it's like trim down this text, get everything lined up on the left, maybe move this text over to the left and align it with all the rest of it. Have the image of you on the right, have that button aligned on the left. I hope that helps. I'm rushing because I want to get through everyone.
You tell me on time now about how you're doing.
Okay, cool. I should, hold on, let me check the calendar. Okay, so yeah, we should be good. 5-10 minutes. How about you, SJ?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so Vera's on the call.
Yeah, Vera's here. Hello, Vera. And is Vera from Instagram?
It is, yeah.
Hello. We've spoken loads on Instagram, but I just wasn't sure if it was the same person, so hello.
Okay, so with Vera's website, again, we're getting a lot of negative space up the top. I would argue too much, because what's more important, them seeing all of this background detail, all of this white space, or them actually getting to the heart of what you offer? So straight away, I want to do that and just move everything up. I love the logo. I think it's an amazing piece of art in and of itself. You clearly have lettering and illustration skill coming out of every pore, which is very cool. So if we go down, we've got the menu here, lettering, animation, and design. I feel like not the most compelling headline after that initial wow. I would love for you to really speak my language as a potential client and say something that's going to be super compelling to me. This, I feel, is always just I never love the third person thing, and I feel like this is almost competing. It's like a second headline. And also, as beautiful as the background is and these dividers are, I feel like they're not really helping us with much. So it's like big space, giant, beautiful tool logo, big space, divider taking up loads of space, kind of two headlines in one. It's a lot of scrolling before I kind of get down to it. And then I finally get down to work and I'm like, as expected, this looks awesome.
This is
really cool.
I'd love to see it at the top.
Yeah, same, absolutely. Although if I'm being hold on, let me go through. If I'm being brutally honest, the work is amazing, but it almost feels like a little bit jumpy in terms of style, because I feel like I'm getting this looks like it could be on a doll's house or something. It's like this charming vintage pattern in the background, and then I come down here and it's like this bold, totally nuts paper cuts vibe. And so for me, visually, I feel like I'm lacking a consistent style in this portfolio. Instagram, again, I've talked about this. You don't want to push people away from your site. You want them to actually take action. I'm not sure what I'm meant to do. So there is nothing alluding to the fact that you actually want people to hire you. That is a link, but I would have no idea until I hovered over it. It looks like a subheading. So for me, I would be stripping stuff out, i.e. Instagram, i.e. endless dividers. I would use these sparingly. So it's like maybe have one of these at the top and bottom of the site. I would have one very compelling headline instead of lots of competing text. I would move everything up the page. I would show your work much higher up the page as well. I would try and get that consistent style tied through all of it. The work is stunning, so you definitely want to bring that up. And then I would have those clear call to actions. What do you want people to do next? Presumably hire you, so actually tell them to do that. Hold them by the hand.
I feel like I know Vera's style quite well from Instagram. And for me, the kind of backgroundy border is, for me, I feel like that's not quite you. the sort of
Is this more her style?
but yeah, I mean, and also quite vintage from what I remember as
Yeah,
well.
like this kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying.
yeah, that's definitely more you than the kind of the blue flowers, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to land on the page and be like, bam, I love this kind of work. I want this kind of work. I'm going to hire you. Where do I do that? Right here.
Yeah.
Cool. So I love the name here. Every designer should geek out over this. CMY cat.
I did say earlier that she's at work, so she's not been like active in the chat. She's kind of just been working away. So now that she's up, she might have to cheekily stop working for a sec.
Okay, cool. Let us know, Kat. I like the site. I think it's got a really fun feel to it. I like the logo, the color palette. It really pops against the dark background. Feels very unique. I think this is going to be another quite repetitious one based on past feedback. So I think what's lacking, there's some alignment issues, as we can see here. I would push these probably down to the footer because they're pulling a lot of attention away from where my eye should be going, which is on the work. As this is, I mean, what do you want people to do? Click your homepage when they're already on it, because this pulls a lot of attention. Yes, it's a lovely illustration, but I'd rather be looking at these illustrations right here. So I'd maybe normalize that menu link. I know what you're doing. You're visually showing what the active link is. So I'm sure if I click there, something will appear here, but I feel like maybe that's not entirely necessary. And then again, it's just jumping straight into, I feel like I'm on your portfolio page, not on your homepage. So I need that clear context about, who you are, what you do, what value you can bring me, what kind of style you have. And then I need that call to action in terms of what next, because I get down the bottom, I hit that dead end in terms of, okay, I've got a cat and some news. I don't want either of those things. I, either want to leave or I want to hire you. So I would give people that option. And also a lot of what we talked about today in terms of actually show off the case studies, beef them up, have testimonials, show them off using various mock-ups, and don't just have this endless kind of sliders and grids. Actually really show off the work that you've done for people and get them excited about it.
Yeah.
I feel like right now this is a designer for designers instead of, it's a portfolio for designers instead of a portfolio for potential clients, which is what it should be. But the work's great, and I love the overall brand. I think with a few tweaks, we can clientify it. I just made that word up.
That name, I think she needs to copyright that immediately.
No, it's great. I want to see it on a t-shirt or something.
Yeah.
So shout out to Denise Ann. Is she in the chat still?
Are you still here, Denise? I think so. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to lose the cookie bit. Lot of negative space, and I feel like it's quite wasted. Giant golf space above here. So straight away, I would put these underneath here, or better yet, move the menu to the left and put them to the right next to your shopping cart would be more expected. So if we do that, it's right there. Suddenly everything gets pulled up. I would say perhaps not the best thing in the world to have a coming soon on your homepage, because people can't do anything from this. It's fair enough, use your newsletter or your social channels or your blog to tease an upcoming product, but this is the most important area on your whole website, where you're meant to be selling yourself, who your work's for, how it's going to help them, all that kind of stuff, and you've given them something that they can't actually buy.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's a bit of a dead end. Also, I'm not gushing over Denise's work because I've seen it so many times. But for anyone on the call, I love her work. I think this is some of the most beautiful illustration work I've ever seen. I'm just trying to get through the design.
For our little gifts as well. I have mine.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I've got mine out there.
So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, they're really cool, aren't they? So yeah, prime real estate, I would be giving that overall context to here's what people are going to get from the site. And then it's essentially an e-commerce website. So what I talked about before, I'd be here are some of my best sellers that you should be exploring. I think it's great that you're pushing your newsletter, but give some visuals to support this, because a lot of your subscribers are going to be quite visual. So what's something that is going to represent either a freebie that you're giving away or some of the updates that you're going to send them, instead of just a plain form? I would make that a bit more exciting. Also, caveat on the email marketing side, the more fields you have, the lower your sign-up rate will be. So presumably you're not going to be emailing people with their full name, including their last name. So either having just email address or at least first name and email address and losing that third field will increase the number of people signing up. I love the balance. I could tell I know you're a wonderful designer, but that's reflected here with the typography, the spacing, the color palette. It's all really, really nice. And then we get down here and it's like, okay, so finally down here, we get to like what you actually do and who you're serving. I would say this is in a little bit of that kind of me about page layout. So I would like to take the crux of this and put it right here at the top. So I land on this and I'm like, oh, cool. Like I'm looking for stuff like this, I can buy it. Or I'm looking for like a corporate license or whatever, and I can buy that here. Yeah. I think hiding it down here and putting it in a fairly, I don't want to sound mean, but like generically worded way. I would invest the time to kind of look at the copywriting of that and think, how can I turn that into a headline that's really attention grabbing and compelling instead of just a paragraph of text kind of hidden away. Yeah. Blog archives, again, I think, there we are, design cuts. I think just beautiful colors, beautiful balance. Just a really nice website overall. I just think you're doing yourself a disservice by not pushing the e-commerce side and by essentially wasting this entire area here. So I think some very minor jigging and you'll be getting a lot more newsletter signups and a lot more sales from your homepage.
So Denise said, you're the best. I'm struggling with portfolio and shop. I need to update the portfolio too.
Cool. But it's small steps, right? Just keep iterating. In fact,
it's just so aesthetically pleasing to me. I'm like, it makes me feel peaceful.
I know. It's so calming, right? So, ultimately, and anyone on the call, you should be constantly, or at least, once a month, just take a little audit, take a look at your website and try and tweak it. Because what happens is, and we've experienced this, you leave it for 3 years and suddenly it becomes incredibly dated. So the way to avoid that happening is just constantly kind of keep tweaking and tidying and trying to think of ways to improve it proactively.
I think as well, maybe like get someone who has never seen your site before to go on it for the first time, and do what you've seen us do in terms of like how long does it take them to get to what you want them to achieve, i.e. the contact form, or what is it that they kind of stop at and get confused at, because you'll pick up then on the things that's slowing down the process of them actually just getting in touch and hiring you, or whatever the end goal is.
SJ, you're getting tremendously good at that. I think that's a great point. And just to add on top of that, get them to narrate what they're thinking out loud, and get them to move their cursor where they're looking. So if they're literally like, first I look at your logo, then I go down here and see this button, then I read this, then I get confused by this, I don't understand what you do, that kind of thing. Yeah. That's a really helpful exercise. So I remember Alda's website from last time. She's definitely made some really, really big improvements, which is fantastic. So before, I think we just had like a giant picture without any clarity.
There was like a banner, I think, that was just a coloured, it was like, there was a bit of a gap, it was just a coloured banner with nothing on it, I think, if I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, I think that was right. So, cool. What can we do here? Again, I'm not saying you can never have a centered logo, but again, I'm always thinking, how can you bring stuff up? So given this is quite minimal, it's like maybe you could have it on the left and maybe you could have all this stuff on the right. Because right now it's kind of splitting your attention between 3 bits here, whereas actually you really want someone's eye just to go here. So if we did that, it would bring the site up to be more like that. And suddenly you're seeing a lot more of her work. See like the difference that made instantly.
Also for me, I'm always really conscious, and I'm sure it probably does look different if we were to do it on mobile. But I always just think I don't have, when I'm not at work, I don't have a laptop at my house. I only use my phone. So as quickly as possible, I can see to the top of the page is like what I want, because I'm not that bothered about scrolling down really far. The whole lazy syndrome.
Yeah, so exactly. Website visitors are lazy.
Page without having to scroll is like a win-win situation.
Okay, so I've got a couple of minutes, but this is a great one to end on because I know exactly what Alda should do for her next round of revisions. So if I was Alda, I would do what I just talked about with minimizing that header, menu stuff on the right, logo on the left. I would then take this text and I would left align it so it was in alignment with this grid and with your logo in the header. So it started here. And I would lose this white spacing, and I would put text that stood out against this background, even if this means tweaking this background color slightly. But for me, it's weird having this kind of floaty white box here. I think it's a bit unnecessary. I think the page would feel a lot more balanced if you had it here. I think the balance of text and line height and that kind of thing is actually really nice. So just by left aligning it and whacking it over here, you're going to have a huge step forward. I would then trim it down so it's less for people to scan, and I would articulate the value and make that more exciting. So the fact that you graduated in 2018, congratulations, that's great for you. That's probably not going to interest a potential client. If anything, it shows that you're a little bit less experienced because you haven't been designing 20 years or something. So I certainly wouldn't have that in your main headline bit where you're meant to be trying to get your value across. I like the friendly tone here and so on, but if you can basically condense these two paragraphs into one that is roughly this length, then that would be a really, really strong thing. So what are you trying to get across? Like, you do ceramics, that's fantastic. Are you looking for someone to do your editorial designs, product illustrations, or want to buy a piece of pottery? I mean, it's good that you're speaking directly to them with your tonality. It's good that you're saying, shoot me an email, get in touch. You've got that call to action. But I would work on refining that copy. It's maybe bouncing around a little bit, saying like, well, if you want pottery or designs or editorial or product, like it's quite a lot. So I would find a way of maybe trying to come up with an umbrella thing that represents your style and what you do. It's like, I can offer you this, this kind of style. I can do this for your brand. And if you're interested, get in touch. And then they can obviously see the type of work you do below. And then the button, I would imagine when we lose this white background, like this light neon color is not going to work against the pastels. So I would toy with that. And also, I feel like this typography is so beautiful. Like, honestly, I really, really like this. Great job. But I feel like you're using a totally different font here. And this actually feels quite like cheap by comparison. So I would mimic the same font choices here. And I would probably lose the crazy like rounded edges because it feels a bit unprofessional compared to the rest of the typography on the website. Then what I would do something where you incorporate you into the background in a creative way. So instead of like just a floaty square photo where here the edge is getting a bit muddy because it's very similar to the background color, I would perhaps cut yourself out and then actually do like a montage around yourself where you're illustrating bits around your own image. Yeah. Because that's going to have the personal connection of like, this is me and I look friendly and I want you to contact me. But it's going to show off your illustration skill right in this key real estate up here, right in the top area. Yeah. And then you go down here and it's a lot of the stuff which we touched on before, where it's like show less work, but in mock-ups and things of this nature, and you don't need a grid showing absolutely everything you've done. I wouldn't perhaps have like the load more, like it's a lot. So I would whittle that down to your best 3 projects perhaps. And then I love how you avoided the dead end here, but I would maybe give it some context in terms of like, if you like what you see, obviously word this better, but like, if you like what you see, I'd love to work with you, get in touch below. And instead of adding that click, I know if I click this, I can see down the bottom left, it's going to open up my email client and let me email you. But I think people actually prefer just a very simple form. So if you like what you see, get in touch. I'd love to work with you. And then a super simple form where they can just fill that out, hit submit, and in one simple step, reach out to you.
So Alda in the chat said, yes, for sure. I'm definitely going to take a new photo in the coming week to incorporate illustration in it.
I'm knackered now.
It's because it's really sunny in the office. I'm like this. So if my face looks really grumpy, I'm not grumpy. I'm just getting blinded by the sun.
Lisa just said that I missed her site. Sorry about that, Lisa. I need to jump.
Yeah, I think when we were doing the shout out, I think it was one that skipped over.
Yeah, sorry, Lisa. I didn't realise.
In the chat quickly if you'd like to do round 3 of this, because we can definitely get Tom on another call to do even more. Please do let us know if you'd be up for that, and we can certainly have a chat, look at Tom's diary and get that scheduled in if there's still a load more people that we missed out.
Yeah, I think round 3 would be really fun. And just because you were in the chat and I missed you, no one saw that top secret message there. Oh no, I'm not sharing my screen anymore.
No, you're not.
I just had a reminder come up with who my calls with next. Yeah, I'd love to do round 3. Lisa, can you DM me on Instagram? And hold on, I'm going to put my Instagram on there. I know you follow me, but for anyone else who wants to, DM me on Instagram, and what I'll do is I will critique your website by filming my screen, because I don't want you to have to wait for round 3 because you showed up for the live, which I appreciate.
Thanks, Tom. That's really helpful. And SC said maybe next time, if we are going to do a round 3, we can try and get some sort of timer countdown clock on the go, so that whoever's website we're on, we know we have, X amount of minutes to do it, and then we need to move on.
I like that, getting ruthless.
Yes, no messing around here.
Yeah, the development is great. And I would say, if I gave you feedback, can you actually save the original? Because it would be really nice if we have people on, like Paul said, to see people's development.
I agree.
Screenshot what you've got, and then being able to see like 2 or 3 stages as they develop, I think would be a really interesting mini series. Yeah,
I'd love to see that too. Even if you want to do them on Instagram and tag us on it, something like that, just so we can check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be really cool. Hold on, SJ, can you add? I put my Instagram in the chat. I'm going to have a little self plug here. If you could put that in the shiny green button.
Okay.
So I'm really glad everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much for the feedback. And designers often ask about the marketing side, and they feel awkward about that. The key thing is you have to bring value up front, right? But there's nothing wrong with a little shout out. So I'm going to, I hadn't planned this for the record, but I'm going to demonstrate this. So our Instagram on Design Cuts is what? Just Design Cuts or Design Cuts Deals?
Just Design Cuts, I believe. Just
Design Cuts. I think it's Twitter that's Design Cuts Deals. Yeah, it's just Design Cuts. So yeah, if everyone who has a phone right now takes a picture of the screen in their Instagram stories, then SJ is going to pop a link to my Instagram below, I think, which I can't see.
I was just I thought you were slacking me something, but...
Oh, no. So yeah, take a little screen capture on your Instagram stories right now and tag up Design Cuts and Tom Ross Media as 2 separate accounts, and just say that you were on the live hangout watching this. And if you found it helpful or not, we'd really appreciate you sharing it. And that's an example, right? If you're doing this, if you do an Instagram live, or you provide some value for your community around your work, actually putting in that ask of put this on your stories with no expectation, that's quite an effective way to market. So don't be scared to ask for that kind of thing.
There you go, links up for you as well.
Amazing, thank you. I'll see you guys on Instagram, but that was really fun again. Thank you so much for everyone for showing up and getting involved and suggesting your websites. And we've got some talented people out there, but I hope with just a few tweaks, you guys can really step your websites up to the next level.
Yeah, a huge thank you to everyone who joined us this week, and thank you, Tom, for giving us your time again.
Thank you, SJ, for being so patient, because I've just speed talked at you and you've barely said a word this time, which I know must be very painful for you.
I just wanted to get as many as possible, but I've been dying to say something. You know what I'm like. But yeah, amazing. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week, back to the normal time of 4 p.m. next week. So again, thanks to everyone who did jump on half an hour earlier with us as well. And we'll see you over on our Facebook group. If you're not signed up already, come and hang out with us over there. And if not, we'll catch you same time. Well, not the same time, normal time next week.
Yeah, 4 o'clock UK time.
That's it.
Can't wait. All right. Thanks again, guys. We appreciate you. You're the absolute best.
Bye.